I used to be a cop. We got a call from a guy who claimed to be the victim of a robbery and was incapacitated in his home and had only just managed to reach his phone and call us. We arrived to a trailer home that was totally empty except for a man in hardcore fetish gear tied to some sort of sex swing. I mean, there was nothing else in this house except the gym tied to the sex swing. Nothing, no furniture, not even curtains. Okay dude, what the fuck? Sex gimp. Well you see, officer, I hired 2 Asian hookers to spank me while I was in the swing. Nothing illegal there, no sexual acts, just some spanking and they'd leave. Well, the girls arrived, tied me to the swing. Then, 2 Asian guys showed up, beat the living shit out of me. Then pulled up a U-Haul trailer and stole literally everything that I own before leaving me hanging here with my cell phone because they said they knew nobody would believe my story anyways, but the cops would probably chase them for a murder. I still don't know if I believe his story, but never found any evidence to suggest that he was lying either. I just didn't find anything at all. One time we got a call about a minor wreck in a highway corridor. We get there, I'm handling the accident. 100 yards down there is a car on flats. And another further down from that, unrelated to the accident, one of the drivers walked back to us and told us a sketchy guy had been stopping at these cars to offer his help in fixing the flats. The theory was that he threw something on the road to flatten the tires so that he could "help" and get money from the drivers. I'm stuck at the back end of this mess on the radio trying to get another unit to detain the shady guy. All of a sudden I look over and there's a guy in nothing but a hospital gown and forth hanging out of his arm, just toddling along the shoulder. The nearest hospital was several miles away, so I have no idea how he covered that distance with nobody noticing. So here I'm with 1. A car wreck, 2. A guy possibly flattening tires on purpose, and 3. An escaped hospital patient. All completely unrelated, on a major highway late at night. I found 3 kids one day running next to a busy highway. The oldest was 5. We finally got them identified and figured out they lived about a mile away. We got there. They were in the care of their adult, 20-ish, sister while their parents were on vacation for 2 weeks. The sister decided she'd rather pop Xanax and smoke weed than deal with the kids, so she locked them in their bedroom for about 10 days, occasionally sliding food and water past the door. There were piss stains on the baseboards in the bedroom from where the kids had decided their bathroom should be. Finally the 5-year-old had enough and figured out how to unlock the bedroom window and make a break for it. That's nowhere near the darkest stuff I've seen. We don't like to talk about it. I had something similar happen. I'm driving back from school or work and realize my 6-year-old cousin and her 5-year-old stepbrother are on the wrong side of the busiest highway in the state. I pull over, grab them both, and ask what the fuck is going on. Turns out the dumb bitch my uncle married had told them it was okay to walk the 4-mile round trip to go to the store. And it turns out she was off at a hair appointment about 45 minutes away. So nobody was watching them. I give them a lecture on how dangerous that was and how someone could have just taken them. I drop them off at their house, then go to my own. 20 minutes later I get a screaming phone call from that cunt of a woman telling me I had no right to scare her kids. This is one of my first interactions with her since she married Uncle Dipshit. Christ, I hate that woman. Late to the party, but my favorite so far has got to be the tale of the UFO/aliens. I was a cop on the res for a while and had my fair share of crazes. One night, I'm out driving around and I get a call from dispatch. There's a UFO out in one of the farmers' fields. Okay. So I get to the house and talk with the guy. We know each other. He doesn't seem to be that loony. I turn my spotlight onto said field and sure as shit, there's something not quite right there. It's metal and shit. So I go bebopping through the furrows and hoping my scardiness isn't showing because this is freaky. It was an autumn night with the wind howling and clouds blowing overhead. I get closer. I have one hand on my holstered gun and the other shining my flashlight. I was rehearsing what I was going to say to our new overlords, and then my brain finally clicks as to what the fuck it actually was. A wad of those stupid Mylar balloons. All blown up and caught on some weeds. I'm talking like 20 of those fuckers, just chilling and scaring the shit out of me. I grabbed them and walked back out to the farmer. He started laughing, and then I did too. I handed them over to him and got back in my squad, still shaking. The sad part was, he passes away a few years ago, and his family gave me those deflated balloons that he had kept. I have them in my basement now. This is my uncle's story, not a cop, but the call was sent to the fire department instead due to the strangeness. The truck was sent on a call for an unknown disturbance, which basically means anything in the world. They get sent an address and that's pretty much it. Truck drives down the street looking for this address and they get to the end and all they can see is an abandoned lot with nothing but bushes. Even though they can't see anyone, they have to get out and investigate, so my uncle and a couple of the guys get out of the truck and start walking around with the usual fire department call out. They didn't hear anything for a while and were about to pack it in as another pointless prank call when my uncle walked past a bush and heard rustling. He looks over and sees a man standing kind of awkwardly behind a bush. "Hey Mr. Fireman, did you call 911? Uncle yes sir." My uncle steps a bit closer and realizes how man is buck-ass naked and standing at a strange angle. He motions to another firefighter that he found the caller and goes behind the bush to begin assessing. He is a firefighter slash paramedic. That's when he realizes that the man has what he refers to a fucking bunny tail on his butt. Of course they try to get the man to explain why he had called in distress and what was going on. After a bit of avoidance, the man finally admits that he had taken a toilet brush cleaner and shoved the handle up his bum. Honestly, no idea why anyone would think this is a good idea generally. Being the enlightened individual that he is, he chose one with a hook on the end to hang up in a bathroom. What my uncle and the other firefighters assumed was that the hook had gotten stuck on something internally because they couldn't pull it out, and it caused the man significant discomfort when they tried. My uncle left the man with another firefighter, getting his information, and went back to the truck to call for an ambulance. Of course at this point he always mentions that he walked around the truck to see the rest of the company trying to silently die of laughter out of view of the bushes. When the ambulance arrives, my uncle meets them with a grin on his face and tells them to brace themselves before walking them over to the bushes. They assess the man and conclude that there is no way for them to remove the toilet brush in the field and that they have to admit him to the hospital for surgery. The only problem was that they couldn't figure out how to get him into the gurney without causing him to move in a way that caused him more pain. They end up throwing a blanket over him, and the firefighters help maneuver him into a sort of downward dog slash mountain position with his bum in the air to keep the toilet brush at the right angle. At that point my uncle decide that the fire department was done with the call and the paramedics could handle it from there, and loaded up the company onto the truck. As they began to drive away, he says they were loading this guy into the rig as we drove off, and the last I saw of him was that blanket falling off and that damn bunny tail of his sticking straight up in the air. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. My uncle did follow up on this call with a friend at the hospital. The brush was removed surgically due to the hook getting stuck on something internally and causing the man to have some serious health complications. Asterisk asterisk. He has way more stories due to being a working firefighter since he was 18 in Southern California, 62 today. Something vaguely similar happened to me, not a cop. A few years ago I was on a road trip driving on a highway in Indiana in the middle of nowhere at night and passed a few cars stopped on the side of the highway. About a quarter mile later I heard a pop, pulled over, and found I had a flat on new tires. Less than a minute later, an officer pulls up and informs me that due to it being the weekend there were no shops nearby that were open to sell me tires, but he did know a service that could come out and bring me the exact tire for a good price. He drives off. I call the number and find out that I'm going to be charged nearly $500 over market for this service, and that I have to deal with them because don't have any other options. It sounded shady as fuck. So I ended up slowly exiting the highway on a flat, yeah, terrible idea, parking right down the road at a shitty motel and staying the night. In the morning I called a few nearby auto shops that were supposed closed and found that they were all open and able to sell me the right tire. I got back on the highway to go home and realized that it was completely strewn with wrecked tire bits for over 2 miles. Sketchy as fuck. I used to be a cop. We got a call from a guy who claimed to be the victim of a robbery and was incapacitated in his home and had only just managed to reach his phone and call us. We arrived to a trailer home that was totally empty except for a man in hardcore fetish gear tied to some sort of sex swing. I mean, there was nothing else in this house except the gym tied to the sex swing. Nothing. No furniture. Not even curtains. Okay dude, what the fuck? Sex gym. Well you see, officer, I hired 2 Asian hookers to spank me while I was in the swing. Nothing illegal there. No sexual acts. Just some spanking and they'd leave. Well, the girls arrived, tied me to the swing. Then, 2 Asian guys showed up, beat the living shit out of me. Then pulled up a U-Haul trailer and stole literally everything that I own before leaving me hanging here with my cell phone because they said they knew nobody would believe my story anyways, but the cops would probably chase them for a murder. I still don't know if I believe his story, but never found any evidence to suggest that he was lying either. I just didn't find anything at all. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more daily 6 PM Reddit uploads.